Well, good morning, everybody. Because of COVID-19 pandemic and consistent with both the governor's emergency declaration, executive orders, and the town's emergency declaration, this meeting will be live streamed so that members of the public who wish to listen and observe will be able to do so, and it will be recorded as well as transcribed. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman Carini.
Here.
Councilman D'Esposito.
I'm here.
Councilman Dunn.
Here.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Here.
Councilman Muscarella.
Councilman Blakeman, I ask you to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand if you're able and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a motion to suspend the designated procedures of the Hempstead Town Board in light of the continuing COVID-19 pandemic?
So moved.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll on, Madam Clerk, please call the first public hearing.
We have a proposed revised public parking field maps in Franklin Square.
Madam Clerk, will you please read into the record any written comments received regarding this matter?
We do not have any public comments on this matter.
Does any member of the board wish to be heard on this matter? If not, may I have a motion to reserve decision?
I move that the public hearing be closed and that the board reserve decision.
So moved.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Dorothy Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
We have a proposed local law in relation to investigation of applications and issuance of peddlers and solicitors licenses.
Could you please read into the record any written comments received regarding this matter?
We have received no public comment.
Okay, I may make a motion or have a motion be made?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and we reserve decision.
Second the motion.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
We have a proposed local law in relation to promoting healthful environments for animals.
Madam Clerk, would you please read into the record any written comments received regarding this matter?
We have no public comments.
Does any member of the board wish to be heard in this matter? If not, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the local law be adopted. I'm sorry, reserve decision.
Reserve decision.
Second the second one.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
We have a proposed local law in relation to increasing the maximum fines for illegal dumping of refuse and garbage on vacant lots or streets.
Madam Clerk, would you please read into the record any written comments received regarding this matter?
We have no public comments.
Does any member of the board wish to be heard on this matter? If not, may I have a motion to reserve decision?
So moved.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the next item?
We have a proposed local law entitled Tow Cars by adding a new subsection E thereof in relation to regulations for heavy-duty towing.
Please read into the record any written comments received regarding this matter.
We have no public hearing.
Does any member of the board wish to be heard in this matter? If not, may I have a motion to reserve decision?
Second the motion. Go ahead. Reserve.
So Senior
So moved.
Councilwoman Gooseby has made the motion and Councilman Blakeman has seconded. Yes. Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Aye. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
We have a proposed local law in relation to the definition of the term program time period applicable to apprenticeship training programs.
Madam Clerk, would you please read into the record any written comments received regarding this matter?
We have received no comments.
Does any member of the board wish to be heard? If not, may I have a motion to reserve decision?
So moved.
Motion that we close the hearing and we reserve decision.
I know you're doing that. You have to.
Second?
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
We have a proposed increase and improvement of the Franklin Square Water District.
Madam Clerk, could you please read into the record any written comments received regarding this matter?
We have no public comments.
Does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? If not, may I have a motion to reserve decision?
I make the motion to close the public hearing on the matter.
And is that to reserve decision, Councilman Muscarella?
Yes, that's a reserved
Second.
decision.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
We have a proposed renewal contract for furnishing fire protection service in the Anglesey Fire Protection District.
Madam Clerk, could you please read into the record any written comments received regarding this matter?
We have no public comments.
If not, does any member of the board wish to be heard in this matter? If not, may I have a motion to reserve decision?
Supervisor, I move that the hearing be closed and we reserve decision on the proposed fire protection service in Anglesey.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
We have two related public hearings. The application of Gemma Realty Corp. for rezoning from Residence B District to Business District in Uniondale, and the related application of Gemma Realty Corp. for a permit to include gasoline service station within the GSS District in Uniondale.
Madam Clerk, would you please read into the record any written comments received regarding this matter?
We have no public comments.
Does any member of the board wish to be heard on this matter? If not, may I have a motion to reserve decision?
I move that we reserve decision on both of those.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the first case on the decision calendar.
We have the decision of the proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Belmore, Uniondale, and near Westbury.
May I have a motion to adopt this item?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the next decision case.
The next decision is a proposed local law regarding arterial stops near Belrose and in West Hempstead.
May I have a motion to adopt this item?
So moved.
I make the motion to adopt the item and close.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the next decision case.
We have a proposed handicap parking on public streets in East Atlantic Beach, Elmont, Franklin Square, Floral Park, Oceanside, and Uniondale.
May I have a motion to adopt this item?
I move to adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the next decision item.
The last decision is the proposed revised public parking field maps in Baldwin.
May I have a motion to adopt this item?
I move that we adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the administrative calendar.
There are items 1 through 43 on the administrative calendar. I also have 10 emergency resolutions are of an urgent or emergency nature. The first is entitled Resolution Amending Resolution Number 571 of 2020, dated May 5th, 2020, authorizing the grant of additional emergency funds to Long Island Cares, Inc. for the purpose of emergency food distribution services to senior citizens and other vulnerable populations in the town of Hempstead, necessitated by the coronavirus public health threat. The second is entitled Resolution authorizing the grant of funds to the Nassau County Industrial Development Agency and/or the Nassau County Local Economic Assistance Corporation to be paid from monies received by the town through the CARES Act for the reimbursement of the cost of personal protective equipment kits for small businesses located within the town of Hempstead. The third is entitled Resolution Authorizing Amendment to the 2020 Adopted Budget to increase general fund estimated revenues, an increase to general fund appropriations, an increase to various general fund expense accounts, and an increase of the CARES Act assistance revenue account in the town of Hempstead, general fund undistributed. The fourth is entitled Resolution Authorizing the Transfer of Monies Received by the Town of Hempstead through the CARES Act to fund unbudgeted necessary expenses incurred directly related to the COVID-19 pandemic. The fifth is entitled Resolution Authorizing Amendment to the 2020 Adopted Budget to increase Sanitation Operating Fund estimated revenues, an increase to Sanitation Operating Fund appropriations, an increase to the Sanitation Operating Fund miscellaneous materials and supplies expense account, an increase to the Sanitation Operating Fund janitorial supplies expense account, and the creation of the CARES Act assistance revenue account in the Sanitation Operating Fund. The sixth resolution is entitled Resolution Authorizing an Agreement with Oracle America, Inc. for the performance of an integrity check on the newly installed Enterprise Resource Planning System. The seventh is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to make a formal written request to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development to transfer the Section 8 program of the Town of Hempstead Department of Urban Renewal to the New York State Division of Housing and Community Renewal. The eighth is resolution amending contract and authorizing final payment for the new bathhouse at East Mall Town Park, Point Lookout, New York Public Works 32-17 electrical contract. The ninth is a resolution requesting the New York State Legislature for the authority to exchange a portion of parkland owned by the Levittown Park District for a parcel of land owned by the Levittown School District. The 10th and last is a resolution authorizing the award of Town of Hempstead contract number 31A-2020 for planning, zoning, and CEQA review of the conceptual master plan made by the Master Hub Developer, LLC, for the development of the Nassau Hub area, Town of Hempstead. These will appear as items numbered 44 through 53 on the administrative calendar.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Does any member of the board wish to sever any item?
Mr. Supervisor, before we attend to the administrative calendar, I would ask that item 1 on the public hearings be recalled. I realize just now that I received a communication, a written communication in opposition to this that I would like to read. So I move that it be reopened. Did I get a second on it?
I second that.
Okay, so this is from Felix Procacci. It's regarding the proposed revised public parking field maps. I object to this hearing being held today without allowing the public to be present. At the time this hearing was noticed for June 9, 2020 meeting, Governor Cuomo's executive order regarding modification of the meeting law was set to expire on June 6, 2020. The expiration date of the executive order wasn't extended until 9 p.m. on June 6, 2020 to July 5, 2020. It is important to point out the governor's executive order is not a prohibition of public in-person meetings. The executive order states, and then it goes on to state Article 7 of the Public Officers Law. Mr. Procacci goes on to say this executive order does not prohibit public attendance of open meetings. Of course, attendance will require the use of face masks, require proper social distancing. Supervisor Claesving has advocated to the governor for in-person graduations. These graduations would have crowd size hundreds of times greater than that of the typical attendance of the town board meeting. Given the town pavilion can hold many times the typical number of attendees, I ask that the public hearing be tabled until it can be held when the public can attend in person. I will also ask that the rest of today's agenda be tabled until public is allowed to attend in person. Mr. Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and that the board reserve decision on this matter.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Clavin?
Aye.
Councilman.
The rest of today's agenda be be tabled until public is allowed to attend in person. Mr. Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and that the board reserve decision on this matter.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Clavin?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito? Aye. Councilman Dunn?
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzmi? Councilman Muscarella? Aye. Just note for the record, I believe it had been reserved the first time.
First time, okay.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah, I did it because we hadn't had the public comment inserted.
And I have Mr. Procacci's too. I was going to read it at the end.
You're going to read it at the end.
Okay.
That's
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you, Councilman Blakeman.
I might make a motion that Councilman Blakeman have to read all those letters in. All right, let's go back to, does any member wish to sever any item on the administrative calendar?
So now we're doing 1 through 43. Are we gonna
One through 53.
53?
And nobody wishes to sever anything on the administrative calendar?
Or if not, I move the administrative calendar 1 through 53.
Supervisor Clavin?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn?
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzmi?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
I'm very happy that we're moving the 10th one, 53. Okay, and that has to do with the master hub development, conceptual master plan.
Okay. Councilwoman's right. There have been a couple of noteworthy votes at the board. I want to thank all of you for, of course, for the Long Island Cares, to expand the program, for the funding that's necessary to feed families out there. Paul Pachter and Long Island Cares have done a great job. The councilwoman also touched base on the hand-up resolution, continuing to move forward the HUD development, and also the resolutions in regarding HUD housing that we, as a team in the town board, after it was brought to our attention, within 30 days were quickly able to address. Even though 99% of this took place before I became the supervisor, the past administration clearly knew about it, did not advise the transition team, did not advise the incoming administration of this problem, but I'm happy to report that when it was brought to the attention, this town board came together in a bipartisan fashion within 30 days, quickly reached out to all the participating players, and were able to come up with a resolution for this desperately needed housing. And I want to commend every single one of my board colleagues for working with me to give this quick resolution, and I'm grateful for every single participating member on this. So thank you all. And now that the formal town board meeting has been adjourned, the town board will remain to listen to comments of residents. However, based on social distancing restrictions to which we must adhere and which prevent public attendance here at Town Hall, we've made it known to residents comments will be received and considered via email. We have indeed received comments in email form, and I assure everyone that we will listen to them intently as we would if a speaker were here right now. So with that, I ask our town clerk to prepare with a sip of water as she is about to read aloud the emailed comments that we have received.
And it will be my pleasure to do so. Before we do that, Supervisor Clavin, can we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
No, hold on. Yep.
Do you have a date? Okay.
Make a motion number 37.
Madam Clerk, Supervisor, I make a motion that item number 37
On the
be adjourned on the administrative calendar, be adjourned to our June 23rd meeting.
A second motion,
Oh, July 1st, I'm sorry.
July 1st.
July 1st.
7 is on the,
Administrative calendar.
oh, yeah, it has to do with the garage keeper's liability? Yes. Okay, and we do not want them to be paid, is that, can you explain that?
Well, The Parks Commissioner submitted it for the administrative calendar. The Parks Commissioner asked that it be adjourned until the next board meeting, where he'll take the time to explain to us why he wanted it adjourned, but it's at the request of the submitting department.
So Supervisor, my motion stands.
I second the motion.
Since this is in my district,
It's not in
my
your district.
question would be,
Sorry,
is
it
this
is.
in any way, Joe, does this in any way prejudice the Atlantic Beach Estates from having proper insurance on their facility? Okay, can we listen to the public comment first before we do that?
I just want to, I didn't see that it said Atlantic Beach. I was just trying to move this along. So I'll rescind my motion and leave it to Councilman Blakeman.
I rescind my second because I didn't realize it was you either.
I apologize, Bruce.
So as if matter
I didn't even
formality,
see it.
no, that's fine. Why don't, we'll ask that Commissioner Zenga get on the phone to explain it to the town board, but in the interim, I'll ask the clerk to read aloud any of the correspondence we received.
Yes, we have a number of items from our constituents, but before we get into that, there was an item about amending item number 4 on the administrative item to authorize, have the effective date of that item when the authorizing state law is adopted. On number 11 of the,
Number 11, did you say number 11?
Number 4 or 11 on the administrative.
it's number,
Oh,
item
411.
number 4 on the administrative calendar.
Yes. I ask if anybody has a motion regarding item number 4 in the administrative.
I apologize, Madam Clerk. I ask that item 4 be severed from the administrative calendar. And I also move to amend, does that have to be 2 motions? Or 1? It could,
Sever.
all right, so I make a motion to sever item number 4 from the administrative calendar.
Okay, so is there a second? to
I
sever?
second. Okay.
We do not have any public comment on the severing motion.
Okay?
I'll call the roll. It's Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
And then, Madam
To amend.
Supervisor, Madam Clerk, I move to amend item 4 such that it become effective when the authorizing state law is adopted.
Madam Clerk?
Need a
There
second.
is no public comment on this motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
And then I have one more.
Okay.
I now move to adopt item 4 as amended.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Is there a second?
Second, I'm sorry.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, I think now we go back to reading those correspondence into the record.
Yes, indeed.
No.
We have a public comment from Valerie Lampy. Good morning, Supervisor Clavin and members of the Town Board. My name is Valerie Lampy, co-founder of Multi-Candidate Committee Voters for Voiceless. I am writing to you today regarding several concerns. Regarding the RFP seeking to ship out dogs with behavioral medical issues, why isn't the board looking to contract a highly qualified behaviorist trainer to be able to rehabilitate the Hempstead dogs as opposed to shipping off their animals? We all know the last 2 rescues the town contracted with ended in disaster when dogs were sent to horrific places in Utica, New York, which was shut down for deplorable conditions, animal abuse, and neglect. The other institution in Virginia was also shut down for comparable events and circumstances. Isn't it time that the town utilizes its $5.5 million budget to provide these animals with the best possible resources, as opposed to looking for a place to ship them off to, often as in the past, to their own demise? Councilman Dunn, several months ago you were asked about your stance on proposed legislation regarding the anti-puppy mill bill S4234A. You said you had to read it before commenting. Now that you've had ample time to review it, we at Voters for Voiceless are very interested in your response. Your opponent is a co-sponsor in support of this very important bill. Will you support it too if elected to the Senate seat you are running for? Please answer. Number 3, I'd like to express my support of privatizing the shelter. It is obvious that the much-needed overhaul is not going to happen, and in light of this, privatization is the only option that will provide the innocent animals a fair chance. I urge the board to put out an RFP for privatization as soon as possible. The animals have suffered enough. Last but not least, I was at the last meeting where the public was able to attend. Councilman Blakeman stated that he was against the anti-puppy mill bill proposed S4234A, stating that he was against it because it targets small businesses. This is untrue. We are proponents of small business and would celebrate all pet stores who embrace humane legislation. The fact is that in other states where they have banned the sale of puppies, kittens, and rabbits, pet stores are thriving and are revered for not sourcing their animals from abusive mills. This is what we want for New York. We want to be clear on this, as we have been painted by lobbyists and politicians as a group that doesn't care about small businesses, and as a business owner myself, I can assure you that this is false. We hope that the rest of the board's beliefs are in alignment with the compassionate stance of Kate Murray, who wanted to make sure that pet stores do not buy their animals from puppy mills, as she publicly stated in 2015. It is time to take a stance on this very important issue, and although Councilman Blakeman does not have a problem with supporting the exploitation of innocent animals, we hope that the rest of you do. Our next public response is from Ms. Terry Winston.
Madam Supervisor, could I just interrupt you for one moment? Supervisor, I move that we reconvene the town board for the purposes of adjourning till July 1st, the resolution authorizing payment to the Stack Insurance Agency on behalf of the Atlantic Beach Estates. I understand from Commissioner Zangler that Atlantic Beach Estates, because of COVID-19, is doing away with their valet parking, and this may not be necessary. So I would move that we reconvene and adjourn that item.
And the adjourn date again was July
1st. Right, Joe?
1st. Okay. Do we have a second on that?
Supervisor Clavin?
Aye, as to number 4.
Councilman, actually,
37.
Oh, 37. Just number 37, the administrative calendar.
Supervisor Clavin?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito? Councilman Dunn?
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby? And Councilman Muscarella.
Staying on that item.
All right.
Madam Clerk, I ask you to continue your reading into the record of the letters and correspondence received.
Yes, the next public response is from Terry Winston. My name is Terry Winston. I live at 55 Courtney Road in the confines of the village of Hempstead. I've lived at that location for well over 20 years. I pay more than my fair share of taxes and do so willingly. Hempstead has a disproportionate amount of this kind of structure as it is, and can no longer subsidize those that can well afford to pay to stay in Hempstead. Furthermore, this property was acquired via thievery, and to add more insult to injury, it is now worth $10 million. Surely the owner can well afford to pay their fair share of the taxes. The jobs this project will create, as well as the creation of economic growth, are a sham. Look at all the current abysmal state that Hempstead is in. These handouts have not yielded any improvements. To the contrary, they only serve to bring the community down further. Last but not least, Mr. Rashid Walker is a member of the Village of Hempstead Planning Board, and because of this, there may be a conflict of interest. I say no to this development. Put it elsewhere in Nassau County. Supervisor Clavin, with your permission, I will send this along to Mayor Ryan.
Absolutely. As it is a village matter, I appreciate you sending that to the mayor of the Incorporated Village of Hempstead.
Okay. The next public response is from Geraldine Barbarato, to whom it may concern. Good morning. My name is Geraldine Barbarato. I'm a current member of the Malibu Shore Club down in Lido Beach. I'm writing in hopes that some attention can be addressed to the current situation that I and several hundred other members are currently involved in. I am a cabana holder. Malibu Shore Club currently has a 10 to 15-year wait for this opportunity, and the 2020 season should be my second out of the max of 3 years that I can have this unit. It goes without saying that we were excited to have this time to spend together with family and friends at the cabana we waited so long for. My family paid Dover Group, which runs Malibu Lockers and Cabanas, $4,800 on March 1st, 2020. The basic contract that we signed was all dated prior to the international pandemic that has hit, and conditions have obviously changed for the safety and well-being of the club members and staff since that date. While I can understand the club wanted to open and run business as usual, it is not safe and not allowed. From my research and understanding, every other town, county, and private beach club along Long Island's South Shore has developed a 2020 COVID seasonal plan and offered some form of compensation, whether it be a sit out the year with no penalty and pay deposit to secure for the 2021 season, B, prorate the current 2020 season based off the lack of amenities being offered and shorter season dates, or C, refund for the 2020 season. From my understanding, club holders will have no access to pool, playground, or concession stands. You will not be allowed to congregate at or around your cabana unit. No sitting in the sand in front of your cabana. No picnic tables, no sitting in the concrete area directly in front of your cabana. The cabanas are essentially to be used for storage only. The beach is the property of Town of Hempstead, and the parking capacity will be closed at 50%. It does not matter if you own a cabana or not. I am a nurse. I've been working on the front line since all this started, sometimes even off shift hours, and I have 3 children under the age of 5. Likelihood I even secure a spot once this summer will be slim to none to begin with. Many others are in the same situation and work overnights and do not come until afternoon, when, according to these rules, will not be allowed in. Up until this point, I have been very understanding of the situation and have been waiting to see how this will all play out. I have reached out to the Malibu office and the Dover Group several times each week over the last month, and I've been given the same response each time, that they are waiting on orders from the governor to tell them what they can open and what will be available at that time of opening. I spoke with the Town of Hempstead yesterday and was advised that there's absolutely no reason why Butch Yamali has not publicized a statement and a 2020 seasonal plan for its holders. Even more so, he sent out a robocall last week to have members start to pick up their passes this week. The club is still closed completely, and from personal resources who went to get their access passes, they stated that they had to sign an amended agreement. This agreement basically states that they have no intentions of refunding us any of our hard-earned money. I know that I'm not alone when I vocalize how disgusted and upset over this. We all worked hard to afford this luxury and should be given the opportunity for a refund or to suspend our membership this season. I'm in my 30s and relatively healthy and low risk. I have 3 children and a compromised husband who I'm concerned about. In addition, many members at Malibu are in the high-risk population of over 65 years old, and it is just not fair to give no options, especially when it involves our safety and health. I know that I am not alone in my efforts to get some form of reimbursement or acknowledgement from the Dover Group. We are being shut out and not told anything. I'm hoping we can make a stance in numbers and with a little public attention. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to read this and anything that you can do to help us. And then she goes on to give her contact information. The next public response is from Stuart Kroll, Hempstead Town Board. My name is Stuart Kroll, residing in Great Neck. I hope that everyone here is currently in good health, regardless of receiving proposed federal assistance. It is clear that the town of Hempstead and all other municipalities will be facing an enduring period of financial hardship. It is puzzling and upsetting to other municipalities. It is puzzling, and upsetting to me that immediately after a pandemic was declared, the town board at their next meeting, lasting all of 10 minutes, gave out raises and promotions. Is this acting with financial prudence? I think not. It appears to me as a last gasp giveaway program to benefit the Republican Party. My next comment relates to the last publicly attended board meeting in February. Mr. Blakeman stated that he could not support Bill S4234A, banning the sale of puppies and kittens in pet stores, because he didn't want jobs to be lost. We need to understand how puppy mills operate. Dogs are forced to breed through the use of a mechanical device. They are bred continually until they are totally worn out. At this point, they are killed. Not very humanely either. Yes, Bruce, I am strongly in favor of supporting small business. The same thing is done in different parts of the world to people. It is called sexual slavery. Bruce, I would say to you, the people who own pet stores, who always buy from puppy mills, can prove by invoice, are amongst the lowest form of vermin walking the face of the earth. Let them get real jobs rather than profit off the misery and death of innocent animals. The last point I would like to make is that our $5.5 million shelter needs to be overseen by an independent outside group after our dogs suffered terribly, many dying or disappearing at the hands of Road to Home North. We cannot afford to show out our dogs that have behavioral issues to another substandard rescue. Perhaps we would be better served by hiring a qualified behaviorist and trainer that actually had the ability to work with troubled dogs. Stay safe, Stuart Kroll. The next public...
So before you read the next one, I'd like to make a public statement. I think that Mr. Kroll's characterization of pet stores being equivalent to sexual trafficking of human beings is despicable.
Okay, the next public response is from Madden at Hope for Dogs. Dear Supervisor and members of the board, first I'd like to express my appreciation for reading comments into the record in view of the inability for public presence. Secondly, I'd like to express my concerns for the RFP posting for permanent placement of challenging behavior medical issue animals. To save time, I will remind the board via email or future public comment the detailed disastrous results of the previous RFPs, which led our dogs directly into life-threatening situations, as both previous town supervisors ignored the pleas and recommendations of advocates, regretfully unwilling to hire an outside, highly professional, experienced, top-notch expert in behavior. The town has certainly received many prior responses and in fact interviewed such experts, some with veterinarian degrees who could assess medically related issues on site, yet failed again to hire such reputable, accredited, outstanding applicants. Worth noting, those expert candidates had no political affiliation, no loyalty to anyone other than the animals. Our budget is such that every animal should have the opportunity for on-premises rehabilitation, as they had in the past, not get sent off to hide the truthful conditions and politically motivated hires incapable of meeting the needs of dogs having behavior issues. In fact, there are claims of six-figure employees having expertise in specializing in fixing canine aggression. Why would taxpayers in such economic hardship expect to fund another destination for dogs, while in addition, the shelter is only currently housing about 35 dogs? Why would the board even consider such an RFP when under the previous supervisor's attempt to ship dogs to Kim Strong, several agreed that such an RFP would be ineffective and potentially dangerous? Please let me remind you that even the union president has spoken publicly about sending away dogs having behavior issues and went so far as to personally offer to retrieve them. I hope you all agree it's time to stop kicking the can down the road, hiring the outside independent animal care experts necessary to meet the needs of the animals, also recommended by the county controller. Why is the shelter still under general services when in fact that should have been the first campaign promise fulfilled to improve operations? Even if the shelter were to privatize, that too may require a lengthy process, and no matter the amount of animals inside the shelter. I ask the board to avoid repeating past mistakes and for Supervisor Clavin to keep to his word and delay no longer. And the last public comment was from a Mr. Felix Procacci of Barnes Street in Franklin Square. It was read previously by Councilman Blakeman. So it will be a part of the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for reading all those correspondence into the record, and thank for all of your submissions.
Supervisor, with respect to the public hearings, of which there were 10, and I believe the clerk read them all on the record, the board correctly reserved decision but closed the hearings. And because the public didn't have the opportunity to participate, I believe that the hearings have to be adjourned
Make that motion.
So, Mr. Supervisor, I would move that we reconvene the town board for the purposes of adjourning the public hearings, the 10 public hearings that were previously closed, that we reopen them, and that we reserve decision.
And the reserve decision until August 4th.
We reopen them and do not reserve decision. We keep the public hearing open.
Okay.
So the record reflect that.
To reflect Mr. Kovic's comments. So let me just state it again for the record so it's clear. I'm moving to reconvene the town board for the purposes of reopening the 10 public hearings that were on the calendar today and adjourning them and not closing the hearings and not reserving decisions.
That is a proper reflection?
Yes.
Okay. May I have a motion on that, or a second?
That's my motion.
There you go. I have a second. Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilman Muscarella.
I thank you all for your participation. Any of the residents watching at home, I ask that you remain safe, and God bless everybody. Do we make a motion to adjourn?
You did.
I move that the meeting is adjourned.
The meeting adjourned. Motion made by Councilwoman Gooseby.
We did it before.
We did it before.
But listen to me.
Yeah, but Councilman Blake has reconvened.
Okay. Oh, so, okay, it has been reconvened, so we need another motion to adjourn?
I just said that.
Councilwoman Gooseby?
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Carini. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilman Muscarella.